If you still want to come, then don't call me your father." That was the last sentence my dad said to me. No yelling, no buildup. Just that. Calm and clean like he was canceling a gym membership. My name is Marissa Hale. I'm 34, a licensed civil engineer and the lead project manager for a renewable infrastructure company based in Portland, Oregon. I've been on the road, managing sites, overseeing storm drainage systems, solar integrations, you name it. I've worked my ass off to get to where I am, but none of that has ever mattered to my family. Because to them, I'm just the quiet one, the difficult daughter, the one who never wore dresses, never smiled enough in pictures, never gave them brag-worthy updates like my older sister Helena. Helena, who's 37 and runs a lifestyle blog full of skincare routines, cooking reels, and soft girl aesthetics. My parents worship the ground she walks on. Every family dinner turns into a stage for her latest brand deal or beachside vacation. And me? I'm the background blur, the polite footnote. Oh yeah, Marissa's in engineering, or construction, something like that. I never made a scene about it. I stayed quiet, played the role. When their pipes burst, I called the plumber. When their AC broke in July, I ordered a new unit. When Mom said she was short on rent after Dad's brief early retirement, I wired the money within an hour. I never asked for thanks. I just wanted to help. Because that's what family does, right? I should have known better. A few weeks ago, we were planning our parents' 40th anniversary celebration. Helena was going to fly in from California, and I told them I'd come back early to help prep everything. Grocery runs, cleaning, setting up the backyard tent like I did for their 35th. I called Dad to check what time they wanted me there. He answered casually. No small talk. Just silence for a second, then he cleared his throat. Marissa, maybe you shouldn't come this year. At first, I thought he was joking. Or maybe he didn't want me to stress with work. It's okay, Dad. I already took time off. I'm good. He hesitated, then said it. Helena's bringing her boyfriend. He's a senior partner at a law firm. Very put together, well-spoken. Look, your work's complicated. Hard to explain. I just think your being there would invite comparisons. It might make things awkward. I stared at the phone like it had turned to ice in my hand. So let me get this straight, I said, trying to keep my voice level. You don't want me to come because I'll make the family look bad in front of Helena's boyfriend? He didn't soften. He didn't backpedal. If you insist on coming, he said, then don't call me your father. Click. I stood in my kitchen for a full minute. Frozen. The kettle had just finished boiling, but I didn't make the tea. I didn't move. I couldn't. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat in my tiny backyard with a blanket around my shoulders and listened to the wind rattle through the pines. And for the first time in my life, I stopped trying. Stopped hoping they'd ever see me, appreciate me, understand me. The next morning, I sat at my desk, opened my banking app, and looked at the payments I'd been sending every month like clockwork. Utilities, phone bills, grocery gift cards. Quiet help. Silent support. Over 3 years, I'd sent them just under $19,000. And not once had anyone said, thank you. I canceled every autopay one by one. Power, water, internet, trash, cell phone, click, 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 click. No notification, no alarms, just silence. The same silence I'd lived in my entire life. But the real twist? That hadn't even been the last surprise. Because 5 days before the anniversary party, I received an internal staff update in my inbox. Just another transfer approval for the Portland branch. And when I opened the attachment and saw the name, I swear I forgot how to breathe. Personnel transfer request, Daniel Monroe, Senior Counsel, Regulatory Affairs, former branch, Los Angeles. Reporting manager, Marissa Hale. Daniel Monroe, Helena's boyfriend. And starting Monday, he would report directly to me. When I walked into the conference room Monday morning, I wasn't expecting fireworks. I wasn't expecting an apology. But I also wasn't expecting him. Daniel Monroe stood near the coffee machine, flipping through a folder. Sharp suit, clean cut, just the kind of man Helena paraded through group chats like a trophy. We'd met once before, briefly at a family brunch. He shook my hand, looked me dead in the eye, and said, "Nice to meet you, Marissa. What is it you do again?" Now here he was, standing under fluorescent lights, eyes widening when he saw my nameplate on the door. "Marissa?" I nodded calmly. "Morning. You must be Daniel." There was a pause, just long enough for it to get awkward. "I didn't know you—" He started, then stopped. His voice dropped a little. "You're the Marissa Hale that oversees this division?" "That's right," I replied, setting down my laptop. "Have a seat. We'll be going over your role transition plan." He sat, stiff, quiet, and suddenly I could see it. The wheels turning, the connection forming, the cracks spreading in whatever polished fantasy Helena had built for him. I didn't gloat. I didn't smile. But deep down, I felt something shift. For the first time in years, I wasn't the one being reduced. He was. The rest of the week passed in a strange blur. Daniel avoided eye contact when we crossed paths. Kept things strictly professional, which I respected. I didn't bring up Helena. He didn't bring up my family. We worked like two people who knew there was a grenade on the table but were pretending it was just a paperweight. But the silence didn't last. Thursday evening, I was reviewing end-of-quarter reports when my phone buzzed. A video call. From my aunt. I hesitated, then answered. Her face appeared, lit only by the glow of her stove light. She looked tired. "Marissa, your mom's having a meltdown," she whispered. "The anniversary party's falling apart, the power's out, the guests are getting cold, your dad's panicking, Helena's yelling, and—" She glanced around. "Daniel's here." I said nothing. Then, from somewhere in the background, I heard my mother's voice. Shrill, exasperated. "She's doing this to get attention. She's punishing us, after everything we've done for her." Then Helena. "Daniel, don't listen to her. She's exaggerating. Marissa's always been sensitive." And then Daniel's voice. Calm, clear. "Actually," he said, "she's my supervisor. The one who approved my transfer here. The reason I even have this job." Silence. Thick, brutal silence. Auntie didn't move. I could hear my mom mutter something like, "That can't be right," followed by my dad's voice. "She's your boss?" Daniel again. "I think I should go." The call ended seconds later. I sat on the edge of my bed, phone still in hand, chest rising and falling like I'd just run uphill. Not from fear. From release. All those years being ignored. All those sacrifices. Every dollar I sent without thanks. Every time I swallowed my pride to keep peace. Every Christmas where Helena got the gold and I got a side hug and a cold plate. All of it collapsed, in front of them. Not because I exposed it, but because someone else finally saw it. I didn't sleep much that night. Not out of stress, out of clarity. My phone was blowing up with messages. Mom. Please explain. What's happening? Helena. Did you plan this? Seriously? You let me walk into that blind? Dad. Call me. Now. I didn't reply. But Friday morning, just before I stepped into my office, I saw one message that made me stop cold. It was from Daniel. I ended it. I couldn't stay with someone who treats their own sister like a ghost. I'm sorry it took me this long to see it. But I do now. I really do. I stood still in the hallway, phone in hand as the automatic lights flickered on overhead. Because for once, the one person they were all trying to impress had chosen to walk away. And it wasn't from me. It was from them. By Saturday night, the storm had hit full force, not outside. Inside their perfect little family bubble. Helena had called me 4 times, each one more frantic than the last. The final message she left was half a scream. You let him find out like that? You let him see you were my sister and didn't say a word? You ruined everything, Marissa. I didn't respond, because for the first time, I wasn't interested in fixing what I didn't break. Sunday morning, I got a knock at my door. I almost didn't open it, but something told me I needed to see their faces one last time. It was my parents. Dad had his arms crossed. Mom clutched a tote bag like she'd just come from church. Her face was tired. His was tight. "We'd like to talk," she said quietly. I let them in. No hugs, no greetings. Just the kind of silence that tastes like metal in your mouth. I poured water, set it on the table, sat across from them. Dad started. "About the other night," he said, clearing his throat. Maybe I was a little harsh on the phone. I said nothing. He continued. "Your mother's been crying nonstop. Helena's devastated. We just want to move past all this. Start fresh." Still nothing from me. Then came the real reason they showed up. Mom reached into her tote bag and slid a printed form across the table. "We've been thinking," she said carefully. "You're doing well. Your job is steady. We were wondering if you could help us out. Just for a while." I scanned the form. $2,000 a month. For utilities, food, insurance, and household support. There was even a line that read, "Optional increase in case of emergencies." I looked up at them. "Why not ask Helena?" I asked calmly. Dad jumped in, his tone already defensive. "She's going through a hard time. Her boyfriend just dumped her. She's not in a good place." "And Kevin?" "He's still figuring things out. You know boys mature slower." Of course. Helena gets grace. Kevin gets excuses. And I get invoices. I leaned back, took a slow breath, then stood up, walked to my desk, pulled out a folder, opened it. "Fine," I said. "I'll do it. On one condition." They looked up, surprised. "I've drafted an agreement," I continued. "If I'm contributing, I want something in writing." "A contract?" Mom blinked. "A contract?" I nodded. "Yes. It states that if I provide financial support, then upon both your passing, all remaining assets, including the house, transfer solely to me. No disputes. No emotional backtracking, no family drama." Silence. The kind that doesn't just fill a room, but crushes it. Dad turned red. "You're giving your own parents conditions? After everything we've done?" I didn't flinch. "After everything I've paid for, silently, for years? Yes, I am." He stood up so fast the chair screeched across the floor. "This is disgusting. You're cold. You're calculating." "No," I said, meeting his eyes. "I'm finally done being used." Mom stood too, but didn't speak. Just reached for his arm like she'd seen this show before. They left without touching the water I poured, without a goodbye. And I sat back down, calm, not angry, just finally free. I thought that was the end of it, but I was wrong. The real twist came 2 days later. I was in a budget meeting when a new email popped into my inbox. Subject, request for contract review. Property ownership clause attached was a PDF copy of the agreement I had written, but it wasn't from my parents. It was from Helena's email address, with a single message underneath. "I'll sign it. Just don't tell them it was me." I stared at the screen. My heart didn't race. My hands didn't shake. I just sat there, realizing something so bitter it almost made me laugh. When push came to shove, even the golden child knew exactly who carried the weight in this family. And for once, she wanted to be on my side. Not out of love, but out of survival. The Sunday after Helena sent me the contract request, I didn't respond. I didn't need to, because something had shifted, and not just in my family. In me. For years, I stayed quiet because I thought that's what good daughters did. I bit my tongue, wrote the checks, took the blame. I let them hand me the role of the family's emergency backup plan, and I wore it like a uniform. But now I had clarity. Monday morning, I walked into the office early. The building was still quiet. The coffee machine hadn't even finished its cycle. But I had a task. Daniel. He was back from his transition week and officially starting full-time under my department. I asked him to meet in the boardroom at 9 a.m. sharp. He arrived right on time, buttoned up, polished, nervous. "Good morning," I said, gesturing toward a chair. "We need to finalize your scope of work and align expectations." He nodded, trying to act cool, but I saw it in his eyes. The tightness, the embarrassment, maybe even the regret. I handed him a copy of the project brief. "You'll be managing the compliance aspects of our next solar field initiative. Your reports come directly to me, bi-weekly." He nodded. "Understood." "And Daniel?" I added. He looked up. "Your relationship with Helena is your business, but if there are any attempts to leverage personal history in this office, I won't hesitate to document it." His throat bobbed. Of course. I leaned back in my chair, calm, collected. The same tone they all used on me for years, except this time I was the one setting the terms. And the best part? I didn't even have to raise my voice. But that was only the beginning. That evening, as I stepped out of the office, I saw a car parked by the curb. My parents. I didn't walk faster. I didn't avoid them. I just kept my pace until they stepped out and blocked my path. "We need to talk," Dad said, arms crossed, again like he had any power left in this. I glanced at Mom. She looked older, not in a cruel way, just tired, worn down. Her voice was softer now. "We didn't come to fight," she said. "We came because we're confused. Why are you doing this? Why now?" I stood still on the sidewalk, the evening breeze pushing strands of hair across my face. Behind them, traffic passed, people walked their dogs, life moved on. And I said, "You told me not to come home." So I didn't. Dad scoffed. "Don't be dramatic." "You told me not to call you my father." So I didn't. He opened his mouth, but I raised a hand. "You can't erase what you said just because now it's inconvenient." He stared at me. I stared right back. Then I said the thing that made his face finally change. "I've been recording every payment, every repair, every utility I've ever covered. I'm forwarding the full financial breakdown to my lawyer." He stepped back slightly. "What lawyer?" I pulled out my phone, opened my email, and tapped the screen. "Marissa," my mom said quickly, voice trembling. "We're family. Don't do this. Please don't bring lawyers into it." "You brought money into it," I said. "I'm just giving it the structure it deserved from the start." They didn't speak after that. Just stood there, stunned, like the ground had shifted under their feet. But the real twist? That came 2 hours later. Daniel sent me an email with a single subject line. "Thought you should see this." Attached was a screenshot from Helena's private Instagram story, one I wasn't supposed to have access to. It was a photo of her, crying, holding a wine glass with the caption, "Imagine being so bitter that your own sister threatens legal action against your parents, just to prove she's worth something." But what made me freeze? The list of viewers at the bottom. My mother, my father, Kevin. All had seen it. All said nothing. They watched her mock me, belittle my pain, and still came to me asking for help. That's when I knew. This was never about misunderstanding. It was about entitlement. They never thought I'd fight back, because they never thought I was strong enough to. They were wrong. And tomorrow, they'd see exactly how wrong. The morning I sent the legal notice, it was barely 7 a.m. Just a simple email with the subject. Notice of financial reconciliation, prepared for mediation. Attached was a full breakdown of every cent I had covered for my family in the last 4 years. $28,746.32. Every invoice, every utility bill, every emergency favor they never acknowledged. And in bold at the bottom, "This documentation will be submitted to the estate attorney unless the signatories, Richard and Diane Hale, Agree to a mutual forfeiture of future financial expectations from Marissa Hale. I didn't expect them to respond right away, but I didn't expect what came next either. At noon, Helena posted a video on her public Instagram account. She was crying, dramatically. The camera angled perfectly to catch her makeup smudged in just the right places. She spoke directly to the camera. I just want people to know, betrayal can come from the ones closest to you. My own sister is suing our parents. Over money. Imagine that. Some people don't understand family. They only understand control. It was meant to turn the tide, to paint me as heartless. But she forgot something crucial. Daniel. He texted me not long after. Want me to handle this? I said no, but he did something better. That evening, Daniel uploaded a post on LinkedIn. Professional, factual, and devastating. When families confuse financial dependence with emotional entitlement, they often silence the ones who support them the most. I've seen it up close, and I've seen what real strength looks like, in a boardroom and at home. Respect is earned by boundaries, not by birthright. No names, no direct accusations, but everyone knew. It blew up. By Monday morning, the story had spread across both professional and personal circles. I started getting messages from old friends, former coworkers, even distant cousins I hadn't heard from in years. And then came the one I didn't expect. An email from our old family attorney. Apparently, Mom and Dad had scheduled a consultation to challenge the threat to their legacy. But after reviewing the documentation I submitted, he declined to represent them. Why? Because everything I sent was airtight, professional, meticulously logged, and most of all, justified. The same week, Kevin lost a small job opportunity after one of his buddies, who followed Helena, asked, "Hey man, what's going on with your sister? She's the one suing your folks, right?" Kevin texted me the same night, just 2 words. "You happy?" I didn't reply. Because it wasn't about being happy. It was about being done. A week later, my parents sent a short, unsigned message. "We will no longer be pursuing financial support. Consider this closed." No apology, no reflection, just a retreat. But even silence can sound like a scream when it comes from people who used to demand everything. And Helena? She went quiet too. Her engagement numbers dropped. Brands pulled back. One of her partnerships quietly disappeared after Daniel's post gained traction. She stopped posting stories, deleted the crying video. The final blow came from Daniel himself. He messaged me one evening. "I've put in for a team transfer, out of respect. But before I go, I want you to know something. I learned more about integrity from watching you stand your ground than I ever did from a year of dating your sister." And just like that, it was over. Not with revenge, but with accountability. I didn't shout. I didn't drag anyone. I just drew a line and held it. Looking back, I don't regret protecting myself. I regret that it took me so long to believe I deserved to. Sometimes the people who guilt you the most are the ones most afraid of you waking up. If you've ever been the quiet one, the one taken for granted, I see you. And if you've ever had to walk away from people who should have loved you better, you're not heartless. You're healing. Drop a comment if this hit home. And if you've been through something similar, you're not alone. We're listening.